Welcome to a new quest. In today's lesson, we're going to be looking at a set of processes that are critical to life, and they happen inside every organism. So right now, as you're watching this, there are millions or even billions of chemical reactions happening inside your body. Now, don't panic, don't worry. These are natural, and they happen inside every organism. And they govern how those organisms live. They allow living things to grow and reproduce and respond to their environment. This incredible collection of processes is what we refer to as metabolism. And that is what we're going to be talking about today. So if you had to define metabolism, it is the collection of life-sustaining chemical reactions that happen in organisms. And you'd be surprised about how these chemical reactions are deeply involved in everything. The major purposes of metabolism are twofold. The first purpose is the conversion of food to energy in order to run processes on a cellular level. The second is the conversion of food, but this time to building blocks such as protein needed to sustain life. Now, metabolism is essentially the sum total of all biological processes that make up life. We'll talk about this in a bit, but for now, let's quickly talk about the two major types of metabolism. There are two major categories. Now, simply, the first category of metabolism involves the breaking down of things. And the other category involves the building up of things. Now, when I say things, what do I mean? I mean large molecules. So what are these large molecules? I'm talking about carbohydrates, lipids, basically fatty acids and cholesterol, things like that. We're talking about nucleic acids, and we're talking about proteins. And these molecules, they are found in the food that we eat. So, for example, if we wanted to construct a chair made of mahogany, we'll first need to cut the tree down. This is the breaking down part now. Then we'll cut the tree down into smaller pieces. And then maybe we'll let the wood dry for a while, okay? And then this is basically the breaking down process. And then we need to build back up. What's the build-up process? We need to then shape the wood into pieces of a chair and then construct a chair. This is how the process of breaking down and rebuilding happens in the body. So, let's first start with the first category, the breaking down of these molecules. This is referred to as catabolism. In more detail, catabolism involves the breaking down of complex molecules into simpler substances. So let's take carbohydrates, for instance. Catabolism involves the breaking down of carbohydrates into simpler sugars, such as glucose, which can be more readily used by the body. If we look at another large molecule, proteins, catabolism can also be involved here. It involves the breakdown of these large protein molecules into simpler substances called amino acids that the body finds usable. So here's the overriding principle. When we eat, as yummy and delicious as the food that we take in is, it actually is not in a form our body can use. Just like that mahogany tree is not a chair yet. So we need to break these substances down and customize them so that our body can get what it needs, kind of like making the pieces of that chair. Here's another important point. During the chemical reactions involved in catabolism, energy is released. Remember this fact because we're going to use this energy in the next category of metabolism we're going to talk about right now, which involves the building up of things. So let's talk about building things back up. This process is called anabolism. So think of it like this. Catabolism has broken large molecules down into simpler pieces, just like taking that mahogany tree and producing pieces of a chair. Now, anabolism involves taking these small pieces and building them back up into larger, more complex molecules that the body can actually use. Kind of like taking the pieces of that chair and making a chair that we can actually sit on. So, what are these complex substances that are produced by anabolism? They are proteins, they are lipids, polysaccharides, and nucleic acids. They sound like the list that we broke down initially. But now, these substances are in a form that our body can use to make muscle and bone and enzymes and hormones. When we initially ate these foods, remember, they were not in a form that our bodies could use. Now, here is an important point. The process of anabolism requires energy. So we need energy in order to build these much needed substances. And where do we get this energy? From the energy that was released during catabolism. So in this sense, catabolism fuels anabolism. Now in the body, there are many catabolic and anabolic reactions happening simultaneously everywhere from head to toe in every organism. And we describe the collection of these reactions as metabolic pathways. There are pathways concerned with every process in the body: respiration, digestion, even how we see, and even in the synthesis of a neurotransmitter called serotonin in the brain, which is responsible for making us happy. That is there's a metabolic pathway involved in making us happy. Isn't that amazing? Now, remember how we talked about catabolism generating energy and anabolism using up energy. In the next lesson, we're going to focus on that generation part. We'll look at the process that is involved in the generation of this energy, as it is a very important part of metabolism. I'll see you then.